Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Welcome back, 2026. We missed you. Our team took a break over the holidays. We missed these weekly podcasts and hearing from you. Sometimes I think it's great to just take a break, spend time with our families. And I noticed a lot of our podcast colleagues have done the same. Darcy, it is good to see your face again. How are you doing?
Hey, I am doing great. I am staying warm. It's the February season, so we don't know what kind of weather we're gonna get, but with all of our snow, I'm staying warm. Just getting the kids off to school today, which was great. The house
Yay.
was quiet. Back to a good norm.
Yeah. Whatever norm is.
Whatever
I
that is.
I prefer our January warm where we took a family vacation, our first one ever. That was really fun. I found out that we are vacationable together.
Yeah,
So that
we
was
are.
cool. That was cool. When you go
Lots
on
of
a
fun.
big family trip, you don't know who is vacationable. Everybody does vacations differently. And so we had an amazing time with our family. It was an amazing time in 80-degree weather. We come back to, I think it's like 12 below here today. Um, I went and got my labs pulled yesterday, and I told the poor nurse, I haven't been out of my house for a week. And I kind of like it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's age. Is it the 50 thing where you are just like, I want my house and my CSI and a glass of wine. I like it.
I think the weather helps that whole ordeal
Yeah.
because I don't want to go outside either.
Yeah.
I just want to stay home.
Well, we should not live in a place in the world that it hurts to breathe. I just kind of think, so I'm balancing out. Do I want alligators or do I want cold? And right now the scale is tipping towards making friends with the alligators and hurricanes.
I can understand those snowbirds and going south and then coming back up here.
Yeah. Again, is that because I'm 50 or is that because it's just Florida and wonderful there?
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
And we have a really lighthearted, very safe podcast today because we are at January 29th when we're recording this. We're going to publish it in February for our re-debut. But we're in the season right now where the statistics show that about 79% of people have quit their resolutions. And we love resolutions on our team. And we believe that resolutions don't have to be January 1st. Mine was June 12th. But the principle that we're going to talk about here today is probably where a lot of our listeners are going to have a lot of feels.
Mhm.
And so we're going to talk about how to triage your resolutions because we don't believe that they have to go away. We believe that your life can change with a resolution. But we're just going to give you simple tips today on how to recover from a New Year's resolution fail. And so we're just going to open it up today. We're going to talk about, first of all, why they failed and then what to do to recover them. So welcome. We're glad to have you on the show today. Please like and share this podcast with some family members who may be going through the same struggle. And please do not hesitate to reach out. And we'll open the podcast by telling you how you can reach out to us. We have a website, kmhealthcoaching.org, where you can find Coach Darcy. You can find Coach Monica. You can find us personally. You can reach out to us and say, hey, I need some help here. So feel free to head over to that website. You can also find us on socials. We go live every Tuesday morning on all of our socials, where we have more of an informal kind of session with us. And so anything happens there. So every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find us on all the socials. We also have a Substack. And so we want to encourage you to find us over there. Coach Monica at substack.com is where you'll find us, over there, where we kind of do more of teaching. We kind of give more of, the how to's and the whereabouts and the latest studies that are out there. So go find us over there. So we're going to talk today about, first, we're going to open it up with kind of the why. Why have you failed? Why have you known that you wanted to change and you just can't seem to take it past January 29th? And so I'm going to open it up there, and then we're going to talk about, what to do, how to recover those. Do not get rid of your resolutions because you had a really great idea when you first started. It's just what happens when we have these big, especially when it's a mass. Everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody wants to get healthy. Everybody wants to do this. So it's not about the resolution itself. It's about your outlook on why and why people fail. And the number one reason is because they have tried to run a marathon with no water, right?
Mm.
They've tried, they have all of these influencers right now. I mean, you just have to either turn on the TV or open your socials and find all of these influencers with all of the answers, and they're all great ideas. Some of them are pretty bad, but most all of them are great ideas where you can take bits and pieces and you see all of these shiny objects and you want to do it all right now. And you want to win this race this month. And then life happens. So, Darcy, do you kind of want to open us up here and talk a little bit about, this concept of the marathon, this concept of the shiny objects, and kind of walk us into this first tool that we have here, about why these resolutions are failing?
I I th I think what I am gonna start with saying is that when I go to the gym, maybe before New Year's, it's empty in there. This is just an example of something I've realized that is a cycle of people. When there's nobody in the gym, and then all of a sudden, a week before even January 1st, it is crowded. It is you meet new faces that you haven't seen all year. So they've acknowledged that they need change. They need to do something about it. And so that is their first go-to is that, oh, I just need to go work out more. I need to uh get rid of all of these crummy food choices that I've had and these pounds that I gained over the winter, uh in the holidays, and they first initially go to the gym. And so whatever that plan is, they start to realize, well, I'm going to the gym, not really losing weight. I am I'm starting to figure that this is not working, or then life starts to happen, and then it slowly creeps back down to the normal people that are consistent at the gym, and then you've lost those people that had a good old running start, like you said, the marathon with no water. Like, you can't run a marathon without water. You need that to quench and to, revamp yourself to get more energy to continue to run.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And along with your gym example, here's what I do at the gym. If I've been away from the gym for a while, I go back in there, and some of this is part of the trainer's fault, but a lot of my fault is I go back in there after I've been away and I tried to lift what I lifted before, or
Yeah.
I look at my co-gym people and say, "Well, they're lifting heavier, so obviously I must." And so what I did this last time, when I went back to the gym was I just told my trainer, "Listen, I haven't been here in 2 months, and I'm not going to lift right now today what you're telling me to because I need to come back here tomorrow, and I don't wanna hurt my muscles. I don't wanna, I don't wanna underwork out, but I try to overcompensate for that time that I've been gone, and I end up hurting myself, and I end up being so sore the next day I can't even move. And so I just went in there and I said, "Listen, I don't care what you're going to tell me today. I will eventually work up to that, back up to that again. But here's what I can do today. I can do 10 pounds today."
Yeah.
And thankfully, he listened to me this last time and I didn't hurt myself and I was back the next day.
Right. And with that, you have to see all of the other, like you said, like the shiny objects all around you, all the things you want, that instant strength that you had 2 months ago. So you are wanting that instant gratification. Instant, like, oh, I just pick up where I left off. Well, that's not how it works. Your body then gets a little stressed out, like, hey, listen, Linda, you just I just always say that. Sorry, there's no Linda. But listen, girl, you are trying to overcompensate and get to that place where you were. Maybe even for the first time, if you see other people around you lifting that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, why can't I be like this person? Well, they've been consistent at the gym. They've been slow and steady. So
Yeah.
when you decide that you are doing this resolution, don't give up. Don't just stop because you're sore. You got to go back to the gym to work that soreness out.
Yeah.
Um and that kind of pulls into our first tool that we would encourage you to do is just hone in on simplicity and understand what your why is. Why are you even at the gym? Why are you even wanting to have um, fix the food choices that you've made in the past year or maybe for years before then if you've not ever changed the food choices. So we call that the why wall. And knowing that your identity is greater than your willpower. So it's a visible reminder of who you're becoming and not what you're restricting.
Yeah.
Most of the time when you start to go and make resolutions, then you start restricting all of these things that you may even, I mean, can I say, like, even if you have like a food addiction and you haven't really quite acknowledged that yet, all of a sudden you're restricting yourself from all of that. And you're going to struggle big time if you're not prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, so what you're saying, and it's tagging along with what's going on in my mind, is it's not just the gym. People do this with food as
Mhm.
well. Big issue I have with something like carnivore is for some it is realistic, but for others it's not. And so when you go into it and you're seeing these shiny objects, you're seeing everything everybody's telling you to do, the food has the same impact. If you restrict so much and I'm only going to eat meat and that's not realistic. And so you can do the same thing in the gym, you can do the same thing in the food. We like gentle starts. We like gentle starts with the food. I do not recommend carnivore for somebody who's not going to do it for life and who we believe in it for a tool, but if you go into it and I want all the things right now, you're going to burn yourself out and you're
Mhm.
going to get discouraged.
Yeah. So what it looks like to building a why wall is utilizing the tools that you have. I guarantee a lot of you have a phone. And so if you have a phone, you can do some simple reminders to yourself why you want to be a healthier you. That can be on your phone lock screen. You can write a note on there because I'm sure if you're anything like me, you've probably tapped your phone already like maybe 5 times to check your messages or to see what your alerts are. There's a lovely wall that you can put your why. Um, like, I'm building a body that can heal, or I choose sugar stability over cravings. Um, so you can add one that's feeling based reasons, like I want steady energy or I want peace with food. And I love that one because I think that we get so stressed out about food choices, about just life and food together, and how food can control you so much, and um you don't understand how much it has a grasp on you. So that would be a great
Yeah.
one that you could put on the back of your phone when you open it.
Yeah. And our friend James Clear does such a beautiful, powerful method on his training from Atomic Habits. He speaks about the 1%. He speaks about changing those things 1%, and those steps where you kind of break it down and do what Darcy's saying of why do I want this in the first place? Okay, what's it going to take to get me to my goal? But what's the 1% that I can do and what I can change in my life, whether it be sugar, whether it be, um and that's not to outsource or diminish the detox that we do with our clients because we do jump in the deep end right away in order to physically change the chemistry of your cravings, right? So there is a time and the place to jump in the deep end, but then what we do is we lighten up then. We lighten up and we say, okay, where is your 1%? Where is it? What are we keeping out? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. So things to remember with this tool would be motivation fades, identity doesn't. When someone sees themselves as a person who cares for their metabolism, choices then follow naturally. You just have to take it like Coach Monica said and James Clear, uh, taking it 1% at a time. That's it.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is such good advice. So take the pressure off of yourself. Why do you want to change? What do you want from your New Year's resolutions? Don't cross them off your list. But what do you want? Find peace with that. Find your identity in that. And then you can move on to the next step, which I love the next step. Because it's what we do with our food addiction clients. It's what we preach every single day about stop beating yourself up. Stop looking at this big picture as this big task that you have to do. I have to do this for the rest of my life. I have to do this. Breathe. Breathe a little bit and say, well, I don't know about the rest of my life, but I can do it today. Right now, I can go out to the kitchen and I can make the right choice today. And take the pressure off of yourself, right? What do you think, Darcy?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that you're acknowledging the fact that there's struggles there. That you struggle with overcommitting. You find yourself in the same cycle that is a repeat. Like you are wanting to get out of that cycle. You are wanting to have a new change in your lifestyle. So thinking about, today and not necessarily over planning for the future, I think that helps again with the cortisol in your body and not feeling like you are overwhelmed and stressed out and then you're um bringing in another problem of over cortisoling your body with that inflammation, that hormone that it releases when it has too much of it.
Yeah. Is this a first world problem? Like when you said the word overcommitting, I wrote that down because overcommitting is like the story of my life. And it
Mhm.
doesn't just have to do with food. It's like church,
Yeah.
school. Our kids have to be in everything. We have to go to every small group. We are kings and queens of overcommitting to everything, and that just sets us up for failure because we're exhausted and we're depressed and we are overstimulated and so yeah, overcommitting. So what about if we use the word just for today? Just
Yeah.
for today, I look at even with your calendar, just for today. What do I have to do today?
Yeah.
Right?
And
What
I think what's sorry, I think the things that would pair with that would just making like the tools that we bring up all kind of go together. So when you do all of these tools together, then that just for today mindset will make sense
Mhm.
because there are things that you need to do in that moment in order to have that mindset of just for today, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. I'm going to do these things every single day, but just for today, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm thinking about. This
Yeah.
is what, I'm going to journal about.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Healing happens in days stacked together, not perfect months. You're not going to have a
Mm.
perfect month. I don't have a perfect month because life happens, right? And so it's like, take the pressure off of yourself to be perfect. Now we're gonna go into tool number 3 here, and it's gonna sound like we're contradicting each other, but we're really not, because once you've got that foundation of consistency, then we bring in the tools and we bring in the data. So we're not saying this data is not needed. We use data every session that we work with our clients on. Every single session, we use data. And data is not a diet. Okay. Data using tools like a CGM, like your ketones, like your energy level, like your sleep, your hormones is information. And we have to have that information. And Darcy, I want you to talk a little bit about some of those tools that we use. So it looks like we're getting a little bit deeper into the weeds here, and
Mm.
that's intentional because
Yeah.
you can't have a lifestyle without this data. But what are some of the things that we use in our practice on a daily basis?
So our newest one is the CGM monitor. And again, it's the CGM monitor is not the thing that makes you lose weight. It's not a quick fix, but it is allowing us as coaches to be able to go in to your data and see what foods are affecting you the greatest. Because we're not the same. And that I like to have the idea of keto and carnivore as a foundation to live by, because to me that's like a freedom. It's you have control over those food choices. But when one person's doing keto over here, and then you've got another person doing the same thing, one person's losing weight and healing, and the other person's struggling, we can't see why this person living the keto life is doing great and the other person's not. They're doing the same exact thing, but the person that's struggling feels like they're failing and doing something wrong. In fact, it's not maybe not necessarily something wrong. It's just your body is doing something different and is responding to certain foods in another way that this other person isn't. It's kind of like when Mark and I were losing weight at the same time. He was losing weight, like all he had to do was stop looking at soda and he was losing weight. And I was like just struggling to lose anything that he was losing. So men and women are different. You and I are different.
Yeah.
So the CGM monitor goes in and helps us dive in deeper to understand that person's body and why the glucose is constantly being spiked.
Mhm.
Well, this
Yeah.
person could be eating a little bit too late at night. The person that's struggling. It could just come down to the timing of when they're eating or how often they're eating. So that CGM is going to help us understand that data. That's
Yeah.
honestly, that's my favorite thing in our practice because
Yeah.
I can learn so much about somebody.
Yeah.
But the other portion of that would be then their responsibility of checking even their ketones, because the ketones matter too. The
Macros matter.
macros matter to get you to a state of ketosis.
Half of our clients on a CGM use macros, half of them don't. And so we as coaches have to decide, okay, macros matter for some people, macros are not needed for other people. And so we have to determine which ones need to be tracking how much they're eating, which ones don't. And
Mhm.
so, which ones, and here's a little sneak preview of our next podcast with Coach Darcy. Your career matters in some of these things. She's getting ready to kick off a podcast and give you tools and tips for those of you who are CPAs, because we're in that stage right now of CPAs. Those are the hardest people to coach. Um, CPAs really struggle with tracking their macros at this point in time in their life.
Mhm.
So make sure you tune into the next podcast when she gives you a toolbox if you're a CPA or slash attorney right now, because those things are different. And if we jump back up to the first thing we talked about here, if we are jumping into the deep end and you are a CPA or you are one that may have to track their macros, um, whoa, you're jumping into the deep end. And is it the right timing for that? Are there tools that we have that can carry you over that bridge of I can do this right now, or maybe I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
And we have to take a different tactic with you.
Yeah. Um, the one thing that I wanted to tack on here with the CGM, a lot of doctors prescribe these CGMs to people and they without any other explanation. So these people are not changing the way they eat. So they get mad at at the CGM because, well, for one, they're not losing weight, but they're also looking at this like a report card of how they're doing. And we just want to encourage you that when you s- when you stay with the data and you understand it and you learn about your body, it becomes more of a conversation with your body. And that's what we coach is we want you to understand your body so well that you can understand if there's something that's off, that doesn't seem right, that is not your norm. I have a lot of clients that give me so much data that I can say, well, you did this out of the norm. And do you think that maybe your body's fighting off a sickness or something of that sort? We can go down to that nitty gritty. I also have some clients that see these CGMs as like our scale. When the scale's not moving, they get panicked and worried. But the CGM can also be controlling in that way. But you have to be able to look at that CGM as a conversation,
Yeah.
as knowing what the details are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And then we walk over, as we're doing this journey with you, we walk over to probably the one that is the toughest, and the one that we struggle with, even being in the maintenance part of our journey. And we call it the life happens system. And that's when, again, back up to the first thing when we opened the show, when we have all of these ideas and all of these plans and all of these, shiny objects, and your hubby says, "Hey, let's go on a date. Hey, did you know we have a baby shower coming up? Hey, church group is meeting." Um, and that can be so jolting to a system that you have in place that you throw the baby out with the bathwater and you're like, "I can't do it because I've got life happening right now. I've got things happening in my life. Coach, you don't understand. I'm in the hospital with my kid. This has happened. I'm exhausted. I'm starving." And they take one bite off plan and they throw it all out because life happened. And we have to factor these things into your resolution because that is not going away.
mm,
It is not a matter of if it happens, it's when it happens. And if you have a pre-decided backup plan so that when those days happen, they don't overtake you and they don't kick you off plan and you're prepared for it. In every session we do with a client, we say, "What are you doing this week? What are you doing this week? What's your schedule?" And a lot of times my clients will say, "Well, I don't have anything going on." And I can see them because we do video calls. I can see them looking at their calendar and I know when it hits them, they're like, "Oh crap, I didn't tell the coach about this. Oh, I didn't see this on Thursday." And so when we go through their calendar with them each time, and we also send a pre-check with our clients before so that they can kind of look at their week and kind of say, "Well, the scale said this week, and oh, I really had a bad week." Or we know how to get in their heads just a little bit before we actually open it up so we can say, "Hey, I noted in your notes to me this week that you have this coming up, right? I noted that this. How are you going to handle that? What's your plan? What's your plan B?" And again, it's not the same plan. There are sometimes I go into a session with a client and we do a 360 and I say, "Holy cow, we got to put on the brakes. If you maintain your weight this week, one. because you've got all of this stuff going on. What are some of your plan Bs that you have noticed with your clients?
Well, the plan Bs are when sickness happens. Like, that's
Oh,
probably the top one right now is when everyone is feeling sick. They're like, "Okay, what now that I'm sick, I don't feel like eating things." And so they resort to their old comfort foods of like chicken and noodles and crackers and all of those things that just throws them off of their original plan. So, and then also another one is when we have clients that graduate and they're in maintenance. That's a big one. Usually when I send off a client, I just make sure that since they know that at this point in time, I've had clients that just know themselves in and out and what throws them off, what doesn't throw them off. I say, I need you to come up with a plan B. I want you to live your life the way you're doing it normally, and that you are um not not going to panic if something happens. So you're going to come with a plan B so that you know that if something's off or if something that comes up, you know what you're going to do. So for some examples, we had if I'm exhausted, what are you going to do if you're exhausted? You're going to focus just simplicity of like proteins and fats. So you're not having to make any big decisions on food choices. So we like to say, think simple with your recipes. Come up with 7 recipes that you can rotate that you know are great go-tos that you know that's a foundational meal and you can go to that. If there's like if they hit a moment and where cravings just are so strong, and let me tell you, that doesn't go away even when you're in maintenance. Cravings are a beast. So you need to make sure that you eat more when you're eating a meal so that you feel full, not eat like a rabbit. That's not the time to eat like a rabbit. That is the time that when people eat like rabbits, they're ravenous all day long. And then if somebody decides like, oops, I went off plan. Well, the next meal is grounding. It's not punishment. So we encourage our clients, there's no fasting after you've gone off plan because we associate fasting then with a punishment. Or if they just need to pick up their fork again and keep going forward of okay, even though I went off plan, I'm just going to not pretend because it happened, but I'm just going to move on like it didn't happen, and I'm just gonna do what I normally should be doing with my foundation. So I see the plan B as a foundational backup plan so that you are self-aware, that you don't let your guard down, and that you don't decide, "Oh, well, I messed that up, so I might as well just go back to where it was."
yeah, that is so good. That is
Yeah.
so good. Um, so our next tool that we have for you comes under the banner of light and truth exposes your ditches. And it's being self aware. And so we encourage our clients to do a 5-minute weekly reset. And then we do it with them during our sessions. What felt good in my body this week? Where did I feel resistance? What threw me off plan? What is one thing I'm going to keep next week that works this week? And what is one thing I'm going to release because it's just too much? If you are self aware of what your ditches are and saying them out loud, AA does the same thing. The first step is admitting I have a problem. The first step. And so when you bring that to light, and Coach Darcy is a big one on journaling. And if the journaling makes you nervous, do a mental reset in your head. I like you to write it down, even if it's one word. But what felt good this week? What did I do good this week? Where did I struggle? Should I have said no to an event? Should I have made a better choice here? What could I do better next time? Takes you 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to do this weekly reset of, and this is something we do with you when you're a client of ours. We help walk you through this process. And I was told twice this week in a session that if I didn't have a coach, I couldn't do this. And part of it is just verbalizing what we're saying right now, you know, and doing this little quick reset because then Your New Year's resolution doesn't just diminish in the sunset, it's brought to you every week, knowing that you're not going to fail, but just doing this one thing, just this one thing really is the difference we have found in the coaching in success and failure. When we have a client who say has had a bad week, their first tendency is to back away from accountability. And that accountability comes in this 5-minute weekly reset, right?
Wow. Yeah, and I feel like we've had, especially lately, some clients just coming up to us and saying, I know how to eat. I know what I mean, I've done the work. I've done all this stuff. I've lost the weight, but if I stepped away from our group, if I stepped away from our accountability, I fear what would happen because they love it so much. They depend on that accountability of a coach or of our personal group, our accountability group that we have.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that to me is just that's gold.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, people and my clients specifically, they fight me on journaling. They
Mhm.
fight me hard on that
Your
until
boss
they get
does too.
yes, till they get to a certain crossroads in their journey and they realize that there's something that's just missing. There's something that they keep repeating, like that cycle that they keep repeating and they can't figure it out. And so then I encourage them to write your biography. Like I have a and that's a big task, but if they don't know where to start, I ask them like, write your biography. You're going to discover something in your childhood, in your adulting life, in your marriage. Something is going to stick out to you on why you depend so much on this habit, and this negative habit. And that's, getting it out of your head. Not, I think it's important that you acknowledge it and that you think about it. But like Monica was saying, even if you just write, short word at first and then ease into, okay, I'm going to put these then in a biography or a journal entry or something of that sort. And then you can read it out loud to yourself. You're going to discover a lot
Mhm.
about the things. And I've had clients, not just one, not just two. I've had several clients say, if I didn't start the journaling thing, I don't think I would have discovered this. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have seen this repeat habit.
Yeah. And if it's ugly, don't be afraid of a burn book.
Right.
That's the thing right now with this next generation. They all have burn books. And there's things that I wouldn't want people to know about myself that I've written down. If it scares you, do a burn book. Do a whole book and then take it out. I remember one of our conferences that we led. I can't remember. I think you were with us on this, but where we just wrote these things on these rocks. Wrote the scariest, most ugly thing about ourselves on these rocks, and then we took a big hike. A lot of our people had never even been on a hike, and they were scared about the physicality of that, and we took it and we threw it over a bridge, and that was powerful, because so many things we're afraid to say because we have to stay clean. There's some pastors who are listening to us right now are like, "I don't have any safe place. I don't have any person because I gotta be strong for my people." You and I just experienced this as coaches when we've led a 72-hour fast with our clients. It's like, I gotta be strong. I gotta be strong for these people. They depend on me. I can't show any weakness. That's really, really bad. We need these safe places. And part of that is in the journaling and these 5-minute resets on ourselves. Because we don't have to be strong all the time. We don't have to be afraid of the emotions that we carry with this. It's life. We're humans. And we have stopped becoming human. And I believe it's because of social media. We've
Mhm.
stopped humanizing ourselves because we have to have this layer of beauty that is not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, you wanna take us into our next one, because I think that whole instant gratification
Mhm.
kinda links pretty
Yeah.
well with this and leading into the fact that we are a world of convenience.
Yeah.
When we do have a busy schedule and when we are constantly moving, we go through the drive-through more than we would like to admit.
Yeah.
We when we are going to the gym, we want that scale to move right away.
Mhm.
We, when we're starting a new journey, a new pathway, for a healthier you or a healthier us, um, we we just want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Can you lead us into that next tool
Yeah.
though?
And I blame a lot of this on pharma. I blame a lot of this on the diet culture, but we are solely focused on one thing. When most of our clients are solely focused on one thing, and that's the scale. And they forget to track the progress because it's unseen. And
Yeah.
I like to say slow, unsexy weight loss is the weight loss that you'll keep. But in order to do that, you have to. It is a non-negotiable to do this next step. If you want slow, unsexy, sustainable weight loss. And that is looking at your non-scale victories. The scale lies. The scale does not tell you that your monthly cycle is coming and this is why my scale is up 5 pounds. The scale lies. And so when you weed out and you do not think about fewer crashes, clearer thinking, less inflammation. Oh my gosh, I don't hurt anymore. Better sleep, which is a huge proponent to weight loss. Your mood has stabled. You're not lashing out at people anymore because you're thinking clearly, because you have a reset in your dopamine pathways, right? When you don't look at your looser clothes, when you don't look at that belt that suddenly it's down 2 notches, but you're looking instead at that scale that's up 2 pounds, you lose focus. And again, you climb out of that 6 foot pool because you're thinking you're drowning when in fact, what you're doing is you're keeping that weight off for the rest of your life. And let me tell you something, your metabolism, your metabolic health heals long before that scale moves. So when we work with clients every day, and Darcy's going to talk about community next, when you look at that scale and you don't have that deeper sense of, well, actually, coach, I did take my belt down a notch this week, but that scale is up 5 pounds. When you focus on that scale being up 5 pounds and not that belt, you're going to quit. And you're going to say, see, I knew it didn't work. The first part of my journey was waiting for myself to fail. Hearing that family member say, you're going to gain it all back. That was the first half of my healing, was getting out of my head and shutting that voice up to say, well, Monica, you lost your depression. That's not a physical number on the scale, but my depression left 20 pounds into my weight loss because I cleaned up what I ate. So please do not leave out tool number 6 is the non-scale wins. You've got to keep that in focus, and that's what your coaches are here to help you with every single week.
Yeah. And going into that with coaches and accountability, not being able to do this in a quiet way. Um, Being able to talk to somebody, being able to talk to a group about your lifestyle change is really important. Now there's some things that you can do in your journey that seems a little bit easier. Like if you are on your own and you don't have to feed anybody else, if you are, has a spouse maybe that's not doing the same lifestyle journey as you, I think just keeping your head down and doing the things and not looking around you is important. But I think what is the most important is finding like-minded people by reaching out to them saying, "Hey, these are my new goals for this week," or to just for today. If that's what your tool you're using is a just for today, then tell them, "Today I'm going to do this, this, and this." And they're going to hold you accountable to it. They can check in and say, "Hey, how'd you do? How are you doing?" Um, Being able to say it out loud that, yeah, I am on a journey to lose weight, that's going to help you when you're out to eat with somebody saying, you know what, I'm choosing not to eat this anymore. It's not good for my body. Being vocal about that is really important. So then that person knows not to shove chocolate cake in your face and expect you to eat it. Um,
Mm.
we have that happen more often than we would like,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. And
Uh,
sometimes clients will come to me in the middle of a session and they'll say, I've got this scary thing coming up and I don't have a lot of support at home. And they do the right thing and they tell the coaches.
Mhm.
What I do is I take it a step further and I say, okay, we've made a plan. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to group and I want you to tell the group, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. They have 47 other people who have now heard it verbally. This is my plan. And those people come back to that person and say, hey, how'd you do?
Mhm.
So I make them take it and you make them take it a step further by telling the group. So not just the coach, but you've got a whole host of other people right there saying, "Hey, we hear you. We see this. We see what your goal is. How did you do?" Not out of shame, not out of beating them up, but hey, we're here to support you. We hear you.
I think you had mentioned the word shame, and I think that when we are doing things by ourselves in isolation, the mental portion just screams out so loud. Like,
Mhm.
even if you like, where we've been in maintenance for so long and that 72-hour fast that we did, I think for us, the mental portion of that 72-hour fast was louder than anything.
Mm.
Oh, you're gonna fail. Oh, you can't do this. You're a coach. Like, you have all these negative things
Nobody will
happening.
know if you put something in
Nobody,
your mouth.
no, nobody's gonna know. That shame thrives in isolation. And we have so much baggage that we are carrying because I mean, we got to this point in our in stage in our life of obesity, of struggling with losing weight, with struggling getting motivation going to the gym. We've gained this from baggage along our own journey. And so we have all this stuff screaming at us. See, look at you. You failed again.
Mhm.
You're such a loser. You can't even get out of your own cycle. And you're stronger than you know, and you just can't. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you? You've got all these negative things going on in your head, and being able to say it out loud to your people is going to help them help you, but also not break a promise to yourself, not be flaky with yourself, because we tend to do that. We tend to be those people that, oh, well, I made this promise with me today. I don't have to do that again.
Yeah.
And I got you to do it. Nobody knows.
Yeah. My entire journey when I was struggling with obesity was in hiding.
Mm.
I when I cleaned my front closet out and I saw all of the Snickers bars up there, I didn't eat that in front of everybody. Would have held me accountable,
Mhm.
even in my mind. My entire obese filled life was built in hiding. I would hide from people. And that's why I was so sick. It wasn't until I came out and I brought accountability into my life I came out of the closet, literally came out of the closet. And I brought down all of that shame. I brought down all of that fear because it couldn't hide anymore. I didn't have to depend on my willpower secretly anymore. And that was my first step to freedom. So it is a big deal, guys. Community is a big deal. And that's not listening to a podcast because that influencer on the other side of the podcast doesn't care. They don't know, right?
Mhm.
It's not now that's a tool you can use. I absolutely shove podcasts in my face every single day. But that influencer does not know my struggles and it has never been in my front closet before. But my family has, and my assistant coach has, my clients know. And so community, it crushes the power of shame. It crushes the power of your willpower. That is not a power at all.
Mm.
Willpower fails you every time.
Yeah. We weren't
Community
born with it.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But we think we were. We think if I could just do this, I mean, how stupid am I that I can't step away from this food? How stupid. I mean, we bring in all of this shame and we don't live it. And that's where the danger of these drugs are because that just masks the shame. It just masks that community where you think you can do it. Well, at least me and a pill can do it. No, the power of community is what brings freedom. So, we want to encourage you today. We want to encourage you that you're not alone, first of all. You're not broken, second of all, and the power within you, your community, to break free. And not just to temporarily break free, but to break free for life. This will be my ninth year. And I couldn't do this without my community. I couldn't keep this weight off. A lot of people are like, well, you lost 130 pounds. So you got it down. Heck no, I don't have it down. But I do know my community is here. And I know that with them and the strength of the nutritious food I'm putting in my body, you and I felt on this cruise, we felt the power of what food does. And it was not a pretty sight, not a pretty sight at all. And so the power of the foods that you choose does help infuse you with that encouragement. So, Darcy, what are some last minute? And by the way, again, I'm going to promote the next podcast. If you are a person who has a career that is just launched off, if you're a CPA, she's going to give you the CPA tools to get you through this season. But as we close off and land this plane today, what are your encouraging words? What would you like to leave our audience with today?
I would like to just say a health style change is like a relationship. You don't just go into a relationship, you know, full force because you might scare that person away. In order to get to know somebody, you get to know their likes, their dislikes. It's a slow and steady build. You you have curiosity with the relationship because you want to know what they're like, what their dislikes. And then there's, like, the relationship with grace because, grace, we tend to mess up. We get off on the exit ramp, and it happens, but you have to be able to be willing to forgive yourself, forgive your situation, and keep going forward because with those non-scale victories, with the things that you have already been seeing, you feel so much different already that you can't stop now just because one hiccup.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
good.
by a slow and steady relationship, building that to get to know yourself. It's yourself is that relationship, by the way.
Mm.
Getting to know yourself in a different light. It takes time and it takes patience.
And I guess my closing message would be if you've already fallen off and broken your resolution already, um, you didn't fail. You just learned that you needed a community. You just learned where you needed support. You just learned where your weak spots were. That's all you did. So now your next step is to say, you know what? I can't do this alone. I want to keep this weight off. I don't want a band aid. I want to do this thing the way it was meant to be. I want to heal and I need support. And so, as always, Coach Darcy and I are here for you. We have currently right now, and this isn't going to stay this way, but currently right now, you just hop into the weekly coaching sessions and group sessions at $150 a month. Again, we're not keeping because that is not the cost of the program. There is a curriculum charge. Right now, we're waiving it. And that's just for these resolution hiccups that you're having because we know it's there and we know that you're struggling. And so, right now, feel free to reach out to us. Message us. kmhealthcoaching.org is where you find our personal calendars. And we believe that that's important because not everybody needs the same program. And so we want to talk to you before you just jump into a program that may not be your fit. We have a very heavy leaning towards food addiction. And we do also, for those people who are on a GLP-1 and scared that they're either going to have to be on it for life or gain the weight back, we have a GLP-1 recovery program where you don't have to gain your weight back. We titrate your medication down, we reverse your diet, and we get you set up so that you don't have to gain this weight back. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in saying, hey, I can't afford this my whole life, or I don't feel good, and I've noticed my vision is leaving. I noticed that my mental health is not great. I've had to do this, but I don't want this for the rest of my life. Don't come to us in shame. Come to us and say, can you help me out? Because by the way, you're going to need us for 4 months if you do this, because we have a medically proven way to get you out and off of the drug. So do not stop your shot before you call us. We can't help you if you stop the shot because the food noise is just insanity. So message us before you stop because we need you for 4 months before we get you off of that. And if you've just been like hanging out there and saying, I need something, I don't know what I need, please do a health assessment with us before you decide what to do. So we are super excited to be back behind the mic. And we're going to post this. This will be posted in February. So we got a February launch. And then our second podcast will be a very simple tips and tools for CPAs slash attorneys. The attorneys, I don't know if there's a deadline for attorneys right now with something with taxes, but those people are a little amped up. So we love you guys. It's so good to be back, and we'll see you next